Hello, Chris Green here with the Flood Insurance Guru, and today we're here in Brunswick, Georgia, and we're discussing, is flood insurance required in Brunswick, Georgia? You see water right here behind me? See, Brunswick, Georgia and the Glenn County, Georgia area, it's right here on the coast. So you would think, of course, flood insurance would be required, correct? Well, it actually depends on maybe what the flood loss history on your property is. It depends if you have a mortgage or additional interest. Maybe you paid cash for a house here in Brunswick. Then generally flood insurance is not going to be required. Or let's talk about the zones where flood insurance might be required on Brunswick. And we're talking about those V zones possibly. We're talking about A zones. These two zones where your mandatory flood insurance is going to be required. Now, where a lot of people get in trouble, and they did in the flooding here a couple years ago, is what happened, you had some map changes happened a few years ago here in Brunswick, where a lot of people that were in high-risk flood zones were moved to low-risk flood zones, which meant they didn't think their property would flood, even though they had back-to-back flooding on hurricanes years before that. That's what we call flood zone X, and while it's not required, it's still highly recommended, as almost 30% of flood claims occur in these areas. So here in Brunswick, when it comes to flood insurance being required, it's only going to be what's called the special flood hazard areas, but that doesn't mean you don't need it in the other areas. So if you've got questions about understanding your flood risk in all these different areas, when it's required, when it's not, maybe you're refinancing your house and now it's required, click below to visit our website, floodinsuranceguru.com. Remember, we have an educational background on flood mitigation, which means we can help you understand flood risk like this right here. Your flood insurance and mitigating your property long term. Thank you.